Hello and welcome back to Retfurb. So on today's video we've got this Roberts RFM3 radio. I don't know a hell of a lot about it. I bought two of these together, this one and a different model Roberts radio. So I'm going to have a look at it, do a quick test on it, see if it's working okay. If it's not working okay, try and rectify it. Also I'm going to do a modification on the battery side of it. These take a strange size battery and I'm going to be changing that so it can take AA's, so it's basically fitting a small carriage which has got 6 compartments for 6 AA batteries to go in, and that'll produce the same amount of voltage which those other batteries would have done. So we're going to do that to it, but obviously first we just need to make sure that it's working okay. If it doesn't, sort that out. If it does, all well and good, we can carry on and do the modification and then it's all done. But yeah, it's quite a neat little unit. I'm not exactly sure what model year it is, to be honest. I think it might be 80s. I think it's a later one, this one. So yeah, let's get straight to the video. So getting straight into it, first thing I'm going to do is just open up the bottom part of the radio, get access to the battery compartment, and then I'm going to loosely fit the AA carriage for the batteries onto the actual electrical connections which the old battery would have previously been fitted. These batteries are a weird sort of square type, so to make it easier and I can use rechargeables on it, I'm fitting this carriage as said before. So it's 6 AA batteries which then produces the same voltage as one of those big bulky batteries that would have been on it originally. So I'm just loosely fitting it, as you can see, just make sure it's okay. The carriage for the 6 batteries is not amazing, but it does the job. So let's just get that connected and do a quick test and see if it's okay.
Intanto del testing, Neymar da BBC.
As you can see from the quick demo, it all appears to be working all okay. So we can go ahead and get the battery modification done. It's pretty simple. I'm going to keep the old connections inside the radio just in case anyone, if I do sell it at any point, if anyone wants to swap it back to the original battery, it can be done easily. So I'm just going to solder it next to the old pads, which I'm just getting everything ready to go on, as you can see at the moment. Just using a soldering iron just to put some solder on the areas just to connect those wires. And then what I'll do afterwards, I'll just wrap up the old connections just to make sure there's nothing that can cause any issues inside. I want to make sure that there's no connections that are going to touch inside that shouldn't be. Obviously this is a pretty straightforward modification really, but I would say it's pretty good. You know, if you've got one of these old radios and they take one of these old big batteries, this is a better way of doing it. You can then use rechargeable AA's, which I've got here. Just makes it a lot more convenient than having to buy these big bulky batteries. And now I'm just going to take it apart and give it a good clean, and then get it all back together, and then it'll be ready to go again. So you can see, like I said before, I'm just covering up those terminals just to make sure there's nothing that's going to short inside. And now starting to disassemble the radio just to give it a good clean. I'll clean some of the control surfaces inside, some of the potentiometers, some of the switches, and just make sure that it's nice and fresh and ready to go. So I don't know a hell of a lot about these old Roberts radios. Like I said before, I think it's a 1980s model. I'm not 100% sure, but as you can see, they're pretty well made. You know, it's a lot of sort of wood. They use a variety of materials really, but it's all put together pretty well. I don't think it's real leather they use for the outer faces. I think that's like a synthetic leather, sort of vinyl material, but it looks pretty good, to be fair. And as you can see, I'm just taking out the main sort of guts of the machine and then just giving it a quick dust off, and then we can use some deoxit and go in around the controls and just spray that in and just get it so they're nice and clean, and then there should be no issues then for a while whilst you're using the radio and just operating the buttons and stuff, just trying to get in as best as I can. It's quite difficult with these sort of buttons because they're sort of sealed over quite well, so I need to sort of spray it in any sort of gaps I can get it in. And now just removing the aerial. Luckily the aerial's in pretty good condition. I'm just going to wipe that off, just get any sort of dirt or anything off of it and just make sure that it's operating all okay. Really with this radio, it's just more than anything, just good cleanup really, good polishing up the parts, just dusting it all off, being very careful on this bit where I'm hoovering because there's a bit of mechanism where you've got the dials for the radio and I don't want to damage any of that. On the older Roberts radio that I've stripped that one down, but I haven't done anything else to it yet, but that one's a lot older than this one, and you can tell that by what's inside. There's a lot of sort of more wood. There's another little wood bit on the dial which almost is like a little matchstick, whereas this one's plastic. So yeah, that'll be quite a good one to do when I come to that. And now I'm just using some Freckler polish just to go over the face, which will get rid of some of the light scratches, just going over it by hand. Like I said before, it's not too bad to be honest, it just needs a general cleanup. I know that nowadays there's quite a few remakes of these radios which are more modern, which have got sort of digital radio, and this is obviously analog from back then. So yeah, there is the option obviously of a newer one, but I do like these older ones, and it's nice to keep them all running if they can be used, you know. Now just cleaning the main carcass of the machine. You can see there inside the amount of wood that's inside there that's used, which is quite nice to see really, because a lot of stuff now is just all plastic, so it's quite nice that they've used these other materials to do it. And now just popping the main handle off, so that just pushes down and then it pops off the side. You can lift that off. I just wanted to get that off so I could clean inside the handle on the sides. You can't really get in there very well to clean it properly, so I just wanted to get that off, and then I can wipe down in there and it can go back on. Obviously when you're doing this you want to be very careful when you're removing parts. You don't want to damage the wood or that vinyl leather type material, so you want to be very careful not to dig in and anything that's on there. So now we can put the guts of the machine back in, which is just straightforward, so it just pushes back in, and then there's the two screws either side which hold that in place. So when you are doing this, you need to be mindful of the aerial as well. It needs to go back in and make sure that's located properly with the clip inside. If you don't have the clip inside located properly, it makes it more difficult to get the bottom screw back in that aerial part, which holds that in place afterwards, which we'll get to later on. You'll see that part which is screwed in right at the end. This little bit that I'm screwing in here, that's actually a power supply port, so you can use a direct mains power supply into it instead of the battery if you didn't want to use that. Obviously that way you lose the portability of the machine. So now we're coming to the end of the small refurb, so I'm just going to do another test, make sure it's all okay, make sure I haven't knocked anything in the process, and just make sure it's working all alright. So as you can see from that, it's all working okay. So now we can get the bottom part fitted back onto the radio, and then the small screw, which is the screw that I was on about that holds the aerial in place, that just needs to be screwed in. just making sure not to cross thread it as you go in. It can be a little bit fiddly sometimes. Like I say, the aerial might not be quite in the right place, so it just needs to be moved around a little bit to get that in. So yeah, really happy with that. Nice little refurb, nice little modification with the battery. Makes it a lot easier for people to use and replace the batteries when they're dead, instead of putting one of those big horrible batteries in there. So yeah, nice. This will go on now, you know, and take pride of place somewhere and be a nice little radio. Here you can see just how nice it looks, just from a really good clean and wipe over, and you know, a small little service that was done on it along with the battery mod. You know, really happy with it, really like the look of this radio. I'm looking forward to doing the other one, which I'll be doing soon, and that'll be also on the channel. So yeah, let me know what you think. You know, would you have this sort of thing in your house, or do you prefer digital and more modern? Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, it's really appreciated. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.